Hello, guys. Welcome to the second episode of the full-time Whistle video series powered by the Ballebazi app. So today's agenda, we have a few big topics to cover. So let's get right into it with the whole Ronaldo transfer fiasco, guys. Ronaldo has just put in a transfer request, almost forcing his way out of the club, missing all 2 or 3 days of preseason training already. What do you guys think about this? How do you think it's good that he's going? Do you think he should stay? What are you guys' opinion on this? Anmol?
What I would like to say is that at the age of 36, 37,
Mm-hmm.
Ronaldo has got maybe like 2 or 3 more good years in him
Mm-hmm.
before he starts to think about other moves. Keeping in mind that United failed to get a seat in the Champions League, so that is going to reflect a lot on the
Mm-hmm.
player who is some sort of a record holder when it comes to
Yeah.
the UCL appearances. And his performance has been, almost fabulous back there.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that I can understand where Ronaldo is coming from. There are certain requirements for him, not just because of what he wants, but because what his career wants at this particular point in time. If he is to, go down the annals as a legend, right? But United is, simply failing to give him that avenue. I
Mm-hmm.
understand why his move happened from Real Madrid to United in that manner, but I think that he had got some lofty ambitions with the club, with the which it ultimately failed to provide.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, I would just like to say that I believe it is better for Ronaldo to move uh, from Manchester United, because just using old slang back here, I mean, it's better to move from a toxic relationship than to stay in one just to make it work. Yeah, I think it is high time that Ronaldo moved, and the kind of interest being shown him by big clubs like Bayern, Chelsea, and even Barcelona for that matter. But although that's a separate discussion,
Mm-hmm.
I would really say that he has still got it in him, and it would be a huge blow to United when he leaves. But he should leave.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Devashish? Like, looking at it from United's perspective, what do you think? Is this going to be a good move for them, or is this going to be, taking one step forward with Ten Hag, but 3 steps back with losing Ronaldo? What do you think?
Okay, so first of all, it's not taking three step back if you lose Ronaldo because no player is bigger than any club. First of all, and the second thing is, there are two sides. There are two angles from which we have to look at it. So one is the revenue side, the business side, which will impact massively because of his departure, and the second is the tactical side, the bigger picture, the project building, which will be helped if he leaves. So it depends from which angle we are looking at, and I think Man United's owner will look at from the angle of business. But I think Ten Hag deep inside knows that for the betterment, for the big future, for the big picture, losing Ronaldo won't be a big problem. Because what is happening is Ronaldo plays very well when he plays alongside a striker. When
Mm-hmm.
He played really well when he played with Cavani, when he played with Benzema, when he played at Juventus, he struggled because he was the only striker. United, he's struggling because he's the only striker. The problem is you cannot really play with two strikers in the modern day, and United need a striker. So what should they do? If they go and sign a top striker, he will need to stay sit on the bench because of Ronaldo. So because of Ronaldo, there are so many things that need to be thought more than they would without him. And the thing that is happening is they will think everything according to Ronaldo. But at the end of the day, even though he's good, even though he's great, he is 38. And
Mm-hmm.
at some point, they will have to lose him. So I think in terms of business revenue, it's a big loss. But as a coach, looking at it from as a perspective of a coach from Ten Hag's perspective, I think he deep inside he knows that without Ronaldo, I'll have a stronger control on this dressing room, and then I can build a team not around one player, but build a team around a philosophy that takes this club on a longer journey.
I think, honestly, like I see the point you're trying to make, but you may call him, you said that he struggled last season, but I have to say, if you look at his numbers, he is anything but struggled. He finished with 18 goals in the league, with only, Salah and Son scoring more than him in a pretty average team. So I think, you're bringing in a new manager. You're, pretty much revamping the whole team. there's going to be so much turmoil and so much change in the team. I personally feel keeping him for another season or two would be much better than losing him right now. Because while Ten Hag can change things behind the scenes with his tactics and implement stuff, having a proven goal scorer who will one way or the other put the ball in the back of the net and just get you those 15, 18 goals, as well as those numerous clutch moments where he just turns up and scores like last minute goals and wins them matches. I think it's going to be a huge loss if he leaves. But then again, I do see your point that if they have to make a fresh start, they would need to this would be a change that would have to happen.
No, but
Arun, what do you think?
the point actually I was trying to add there was like keeping a player who doesn't want to stay at the club is pointless. Like that affects the dressing room, and he's a role model. So the young players look at the senior players and they want to learn something. They want to get inspired. And even though he spends, I've heard enough of this that he spends 4 hours a day in the gym. That's good. That's really good, and the youngsters will learn from it because a lot of the modern football actually says that footballer don't should not spend so much time in the gym. Actually, that's the modern science that talks about football. But what happens is when they look at him from the mental inspiration, from how he sees himself emotionally and stuff, he wants to leave the club. He doesn't feel that the players around him are good enough. He doesn't feel that the players around him, his coach, is good enough to compete with the coach of Liverpool, to compete with the system of Man City. So when he sees his club below himself, even if it's true, he doesn't has the right to do so. And when you have a player who has that sort of philosophy that I am bigger than the club is not doing enough to keep me, then I think keeping a player like this is good for the revenue side of things, but it's not really good in terms of what you need in a dressing room of young players, because Ten Hag is trying to make this a young team, and that's where my point came. But I do agree with you as well that you will lose goals, but I think in the longer run they will get enough goals from Bruno Fernandes, because since Ronaldo came to Man United, Bruno Fernandes' performances went really down because the runs he used to make, the position he used to take up was actually blocked by Ronaldo. And much of the times Bruno was not able to do the stuff he used to naturally do. He used to make me feel like I'm watching Frank Lampard the way he used to play, but suddenly he stopped because of Ronaldo. So he's a younger player. He could be a future man and captain. So it would be better to focus on these things and let someone go who doesn't want to stay either way.
What do you think, Varun? Do you think he
Yeah,
should
I
stay?
completely agree with the devastation and more that Ronaldo should leave because, as we can all see, that the performance really got down in Manchester United. Although, yes, the numbers were pretty awesome for Ronaldo at the age of 37, 36. But yes, he should leave because actually the United plays for only one man. All Sancho, Pogba, even if he plays Pogba, Bruno Fernandes, as Devashi said, his performance really got down because at the last when Bruno plays as a cam or as a centre forward, second striker, he he don't want to pass the ball to Ronaldo if he's in a better position, but he will pass to the ball. He will pass the ball to the Ronaldo. You know what I'm trying to say, that Ronaldo is hungry for goals right now. He really wants to beat all the records this time also. But I don't think that he is really fit or he is really fit for the club right now because
Just
Manchester United players are not pretty awesome that they can make runs or they can make good balls for Ronaldo to score easily like Bayern used to make for Lewandowski.
So just
So yeah,
adding on
Ronaldo
to it,
should leave.
just adding on to it, the thing is that we have been, basically talking about whether he should leave, whether he should stay, and what
Yeah,
impact would it happen. But there's another aspect to it. If he is to leave, where is he going? So
Chelsea.
here I would say that Chelsea have been the big bidders, but giving a low ball offer like 14 million for Ronaldo, which is way below the transfer market value of 32, if I'm not wrong. So I believe that is a concern, and Ronaldo, I don't think he would switch one Premier League team for another. And just talking about, not talking about from a fanboy perspective, but you may get hints of it. But I think that he should make a move to Bayern, and let me tell you why. So Lewandowski situation is somewhat similar to Ronaldo situation. Lewandowski also doesn't want to stay, right? What Bayern is doing right now is playing hardball with Barcelona. He wants to go to Barcelona, and they want to get Ronaldo on board. But again, then there are two minds operating behind it. One is of Oliver Kahn, second belongs to Hassan Salihamidzeh.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is Hassan wants Ronaldo onboarded, but Oliver Kahn is not comfortable signing a 37-year-old player. So
Mm-hmm.
Bayern is being very indecisive right now, right? And in this scenario, what would happen is that in the scenario, what would happen is that uh, at the end of the day, what Barcelona did was to give a low ball offer for Ronaldo as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it is just a pressure tactic to make Bayern do the Lewandowski move sooner or later. So I think Bayern should, just read the writing on the wall right now, make the Lewandowski transfer, get Ronaldo onboarded, and how it will impact here. So I don't think that Ronaldo would be a negative downhill trend from here at all at any point, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what will happen is if any club can get the last ounces of juice out of him, just make Ronaldo play the best of his ability in his last twilight years. That is
Mm-hmm.
why. Because I would just cite one example, and I think most of you would agree with me. Thiago Alcantara. He
Mm-hmm.
is basically a mainstay of Liverpool right now. Who made
Correct.
him the way he is right now? It is Bayern Munich. If anyone can get Ronaldo to perform at the peak of his ability, what he can do right now, it is Bayern Munich. And not only that, coming from a business perspective, Bayern has got great players into it, but none of them are household names.
Mm-hmm.
Getting
Correct.
Ronaldo in Bayern will fetch those huge merchandising benefits and all the revenue which comes along with it, and that can help just Bayern shuffle its entire squad, which is being a bit more aged right now. When you look at players like Neuer, Muller, they are gonna leave in a few years. If not, they would not be at their peak. So
Mm-hmm.
Bayern has got to inject fresh new blood into the system. It has got to just get new talents onboarded. For that, they need funds. Ronaldo can not only act as a replacement for Lewandowski right now, but he can help in rake those funds.
Hmm. Okay, perfect. Now, speaking about Ronaldo's exit and where he could potentially go, like one of the biggest rumors, as you earlier mentioned, Anmol, is Chelsea. And, Chelsea have been making a lot of noise in the transfer window so far. No signings as of yet, but just the departure of, the worst signing in the history of football, Mr. Romelu Lukaku. But exciting times ahead because they've been linked with some big transfers. And Varun, our Chelsea fan, could you just take us through like some of the big transfer rumors for Chelsea as of now in terms of
Yeah,
incomings?
first of all, as I said, Ronaldo,
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea plays the bid for 14 million.
Mm-hmm.
I think he should, accept the deal as he's 38 years old. And yeah, Chelsea really needs a good finisher right now. So the second transfer, as we all know, Sterling,
Mm-hmm.
his deal is almost completed. And yes, if Sterling and Ronaldo got signed by Chelsea, I really think the Chelsea attack, which is really shattered right now, will really improve in the season as Sterling can dribble a lot and can sometimes make good runs and good passes to Ronaldo. And Ronaldo, he can finish. He just can finish. And after that, Chelsea needs really a good centre back, as I said earlier, also a really good stopper.
Mm-hmm.
As Thiago Silva is there, but Thiago Silva is not that consistent.
Mm-hmm.
He's old, but yeah, Chelsea needs a really good centre back. Chelsea is looking for Kunde also, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Kunde is also being seen by Barcelona.
Yeah,
So
correct.
the
Yeah,
transfers are
perfect.
not yet good.
Mm-hmm.
And the last transfer, Neymar.
Uh-huh.
Neymar's exit is not yet confirmed by PSG, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea Tuchel is really looking to sign Neymar for around 90 or 100 million. So
Mm-hmm.
if Chelsea is really keen to sign Neymar and Ronaldo, man, the team is awesome. Midfielder and
Yeah.
attackers are really good, really good.
Okay, perfect. So now, speaking about them, I think firstly about Ronaldo, I think about the bid, I think it's like I feel it's like a fair price. I mean, he's like a 38-year-old who's in the final year of his contract. I mean, if you've seen even Mane, who was like, at the peak of his powers, 1 year left, he went for 30. what, 35 million around that. But if it's a 38-year-old, even if he's Ronaldo, I think the price is not an issue. But I still feel like he's gonna have the whole Lukaku issue all over again, because they signed
Yeah,
Lukaku thinking that, they were creating all the chances. They just needed someone to stand in the box and finish. And
finish. Yeah,
Lukaku did score a lot of goals at Inter, but it just didn't work. And I somehow feel that, while Chelsea is moving forward and trying to blood in a lot of youngsters going back and, signing a 38-year-old who's going to be there probably for a season or two at the most, I think it's not the
correct.
most progressive move. But even, if you look at the Neymar deal, I think that would be an absolutely terrible deal, honestly. Like for 100 million signing, and we've seen Neymar, although he's really exciting to watch, but in terms of his actual, if you see his numbers, they're not really great. And the French league, which is pretty average. So I think the Neymar deal is just sort of paper talk to create some buzz around him, after the news that the management was trying to force him out. So I think those two moves I'm a little iffy about, but I think the Sterling deal is a brilliant move. I think, 50 million or so for a proven winner, a player who's, the main man for England in the past few years and has performed admirably for City. Although, like, of course, the last year hasn't been great for him, but before that, he was scoring 20 goals in the league. So, in all competitions for the season. So I think that is a pretty brilliant move, guys. What do you think, Anmol?
Yeah, man. I mean, Raheem Sterling has been the mainstay not just for the club but for the country. So
Mm-hmm.
I say that is a brilliant move right now. And keeping in mind the holes that they have seen in their
Mm-hmm.
on-ground formation and the on-ground performance, Raheem Sterling fits in pretty well back there. So, but the only concern is that, I mean, players have been rotated quite frankly a lot in Chelsea.
Yeah.
The bench strength
Yeah,
has been given too many opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And what I feel sometimes looking at their gameplay is that they have really, not come up with that perfect solution of their starting lineup, which takes, any major match. So
Mm-hmm.
Raheem Sterling is gonna be a mainstay if they are going with that approach. But that would again reflect on how many players would be losing their playing time. So that can be a source of contention. I think Devashish can, go with the psychology on this matter. I mean, players who have been consistently performing, then their performance drops due to not being getting enough time on the ground. I think
Mm-hmm.
that is going to be a concern for sure.
On the looking at it from the tactical side of it, Devashish, what do you think? Will it be a good fit for them, or how do you see this transfer going?
Uh, he's a good player, but I think he has been his abilities have been overestimated because of the players around him at Man City. So did score a lot of goals, but if you actually look at the chances he missed, it was also as he just finished as many chances as actually he missed. So
Mm-hmm.
De Bruyne, David Silva, Bernardo Silva, putting balls on a plate in the 6 yard box for him. Leroy Sané used to do that a lot for him from one wing to other and used to miss chance after chance after chance. And he's not really a Pep type of player. So he wasn't really never going to make it all the way with him. But at Chelsea, I think he is good enough to play for Chelsea. He is good enough to play for any team. But what is happening is, I don't know if he can fit in this 3-4-3 system because he is a player who likes to hold to the touch line. He really goes near the touch line and get the ball and let the players around him move, let overlap come and something like that. In a 3-4-3, the two behind the main striker are players like Mason Mount, are players like Kai Havertz, some players like Hakim Ziyech, these kind of players who are
Who are
much
good
better
in,
in that.
who are really good in those tight spaces and
Yeah, who can actually
yeah.
hold the ball and let the wing backs make that run. So I think
Mm-hmm.
the position Sterling will excel at is probably the center forward in the 3-4-3 because
Mm-hmm.
he'll just keep making the runs and the defenders will have to go with him because he's so quick, so they can't just let him go. And that will create the space for these two technically extremely gifted players, Havertz and Mount, and they will have more time on the ball. And eventually Sterling will also score goals because the wing backs are very good. The creative players are also very good. So my question is not that if he's a good player, because he's a very good player,
Mm-hmm.
but where he fits in this 3-4-3, in my opinion, the best option is a center forward. Because if Sterling plays as one of the two, then he's not creative enough. He's not that smooth on the ball in tight spaces. And also, if he has to play in that position, then he has to play with a striker who can bounce the ball off him. And Chelsea haven't really got anyone of that sort. So I think the best way would be to just put him up front and to use him like a striker who keeps making runs in behind, stretch the opposition. But overall, I think it's a good move. I think it's a matter of time before Tuchel finds the right fit around him. And I think overall, this transfer would work really, really
well. Okay, perfect. So, now that we have covered Chelsea, I think let's go back to United. And, now we've spoken about the exits, let's speak about the incomings. United have finally made their first 2 signings of the window with, Malacia from, I think it was from Feyenoord, and Eriksen on a free transfer. What do you guys think? I mean, of course, Eriksen is a good move. And, at the moment, with the numerous departures on free transfers, I think, it's a good addition to the squad. I don't see him being a first team regular as such, but a good bench option. And, with the amount of games they'll have, and, with the Europa League, the League Cup, I think there's surely minutes available for him. And Malacia, also like a good signing. I mean, it looks like Telles is going to be leaving. So I think he could be a good understudy for sure. But other than that, guys, what do you think about these moves?
So I would just like to say one thing here, too little, too late. The kind of attrition that United is facing right now, and the attrition it will inevitably face in another season, right? They are basically looking at a wide gap in their entire lineup, not just, talking about the starting 11, but their bench strength as well, right? And they, we ought to be making more noise in the transfer market right now. I don't know why is that not happening. I think that it is a well thought out move. That guy can bring, real stability in the bench strength that they have. But it is again a factor that getting just Eriksen into the system, it's not going to be enough. They need to be getting a few more transfers in. Although I would say that the stability the new manager is looking at, he can be counting on the guy more to start in the starting 11. Because again, there is a certain factor. Once you old players leave, someone has to take the baton forward, right?
Correct.
And if you wait until the last moment to pass on the baton, others might, be running far ahead of you.
Correct.
So he needs to be given more playing time, definitely, and he could be tried as a starting 11 in numerous matches. I think that is going to give him the experience he needs and the tactical know-how he needs to perform in Man United.
Devashish, what do you think? Eriksen and Malacia.
I think Eriksen is a very good signing, and I don't think he will be a squad player. I think he'll be a regular. I think he'll play most of the games. I think he'll start most of the games. And I actually don't think this Man United squad is that bad. I think this Man United squad has been made look very worse because of the type of coaching they've had. So I think I always say this: you are just one coach away from becoming a very good team, and you're just then a couple of players away from becoming a side that can win everything. So they're that one coach who can just tell them that they're actually very good players. So what is happening is that squad is not very bad. If you look at every single player and look at their performances at their previous clubs, they were all very good. They were all excellent players. But why are they not playing together here? Because they haven't had a coach. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wasn't a coach. He was just a nice man. I'm a nice man, but I want to be a good coach as well. So what happens is that good coaching is very important. And I think Christian Eriksen will be a very important player because, and I think also Donny van de Beek will also play a lot this season. We will see a new version of Fred. I've always been one of the biggest fans of Fred. And why he has been criticized the most is because United fans don't want to criticize the people who are actually the problem. So they will criticize the Glazers for everything, but Glazers are not playing on the pitch. So when Ronaldo plays very bad, no, it's not Ronaldo. What should we do? Let's make fun of Maguire. What should we do? Let's make fun of Fred. Well, what about Pogba?
But Maguire has been terrible. I don't think
Maguire has been terrible, but I think the whole team has been extremely good for him to be that
No, but the
terrible. And
thing
what
with Maguire, I feel, is that, he makes these individual errors that, is like just seconds before a goal is conceded, he does something absolutely stupid and, sort of gives away the goal. And
yeah, but
I
if you
think,
actually look
but
at
I
it,
think, yeah,
when
on your point, I do agree that, like these players, even Maguire for that matter, he does play pretty well for England. If you look, and he does have good attributes, but, your point of them being not very well coached, I do completely agree. And, moving ahead on their biggest transfer rumor so far has been Frankie de Jong. So before we, sort of see whether he would fit in or, how he would look tactically, I think, yeah, if I can just quickly explain what sort of the recent news coming out has been that's holding this deal back. The fact is that Barcelona, due to their financial issues, had agreed uh, a wage reduction for 2 years back. And as of now, Barcelona have to pay back 20 million in wages to Frankie de Jong. Because the club can't afford it, they're trying to move those wages over to United by selling him. And this deal can only sort of be agreed once Barcelona are able to get their finances in order and pay his salary, or sort of reach an agreement with him to basically give up the salary, which I don't think will happen. So that is the big hold up here. So once that is done, what do you guys think? Will this be a good transfer? Is it enough? How would he fit in? Varun, let's start with you. What do you think about this transfer?
Yeah, it will be a good transfer as the midfielders, including Bruno Fernandes, Frankie de Jong, and Fred
Mm-hmm.
and McTominay. If these four plays in playing 11, this is a perfect midfield in Premier League. As Fred is a good box-to-box CM. Uh, Bruno can play a good attacking midfielder, and he also comes back to defend the ball. Plus, Frankie De Jong passes, Frankie De Jong make runs, Frankie De Jong create chances. I think it's a very good move, and I just read somewhere an article that United is helping Frankie De Jong paying 17 million his wages that Barcelona is not paying. So yeah, I think the deal is going to be a good deal.
What do you think, Anmol?
If it happens, I mean, I would really concur with Devashish. They are a few signings away from being the best team that could win everything. So
Mm-hmm.
Frankie De Jong really is amazing in the midfield, right? He can, make those moves at the right time. He has got a knack for positioning. That is the first thing that comes to my mind when I talk about Frankie De Jong. He's got a knack for good positioning. He can also, be that aggressive when they play a sort of a high line, if they do one, right? He can be that aggressive. He can, get the pressure mounting on the opposition pretty fast. He's a pretty fast guy, right? So I would say it is a perfect addition to the United midfield. But again, still it is a rumor. And Man United, to be very honest, there are reports coming in that they are, trying to get the wages issue settled and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But what I believe is that the genuine interest which United needed to show in Frankie de Jong while this entire thing is happening has been rather cold. It has been a calm and calculated move, which is really not what United is known for. And I'm liking this new United. Ronaldo move happened because of emotions. To be very honest, it happened because of emotions. And now all these cold cut, thought out moves. So I think that United is getting back on track, although slowly but surely.
I think, on that matter, I feel like I sort of feel the opposite, actually, in the sense that, if we've seen the whole Maguire transfer when it happened, the Sancho fiasco, in them just deals just, dragging on while other clubs are able to, go in and wrap up deals much quickly. United somehow always tend to find themselves in a situation where, they've been chasing a player for a while, and then, they're sort of stuck in a situation where they finally end up overpaying, or, somehow paying over the odds to get a player. So I think, of course, like, as a Barcelona fan, I think it would be absolutely, I would be heartbreaking to see him leave. A player who's always said he loves the club, so much. And he's always, done the best he can, while Barcelona have had, an up and down time over his whole tenure at the club. I think him personally, he's been a good servant for the club and, delivered, although he could have been better, but I think overall it's a good deal, and he does have everything it takes to be a great midfielder. So, looking at it from United's perspective, Devashish, how do you see him fitting into this midfield and sort of with this dynamic of him, Van de Beek, Bruno, Eriksson, and McTominay and Fred? How do you see that sort of fitting into the midfield?
Just adding
The,
one more question about what Costo said is that, I mean, there was a point that United, always ends up, chasing a player, then losing him, maybe overpaying in something. I think that there's a strong reason behind it, why it is happening. United has got a big legacy behind it. But right now, trust me, they have been in shambles for the past few years. So
Agreed.
that also adds to, an allure of a club when a player decides to move. That is where I believe United loses. That is where I believe they try to overcompensate. And that is where I believe that things get overcomplicated. So what do you think about it, Devashish?
so I think all the midfielders, the name Costo just took there, all the midfielders have got very different attributes, which is a very good thing to have because you can have different players to come and resolve and have answer to every situation. You can use them in specific situations to deal with specific problems. But what I think is they're still Frankie De Jong is very good. He's excellent. I watched him at Ajax and I was one of his biggest fans. And but what is happening is I think they miss that one, that Fabinho, that Conte,
Exactly.
that muscular guy who comes in and tells you everyone shuts up when I put in a tackle. They miss that guy, and I'm that guy. If you play football with me, I'm gonna tackle you all the way because they miss that. So what happens is when you have these silky, beautiful midfielders, you have to complement them with a player like Fabinho, with a player like N'Golo Conte, and that's where I thought they should have gone for Jude Bellingham. That's where I thought they should have gone for Declan Rice. That's where I thought they could have even gone for Thomas Soucek from West Ham, or all these players from lower leagues, because they have from the lesser teams in the league, because they have got the muscular attributes, the bite in the game. They will win the ball back for you. They'll make some fouls where it's needed. So it's a very good midfield. It has got the collective attribute it takes to make it a good midfield. And both Ericsson and Frankie De Jong have got one thing that United team have lacked massively for so many years is having a player who can play through the lines. So I think if even if United would have signed Calvin Phillips, that would have been an amazing signing for them. But now Man City is not going to play either way. So what is happening is Bruno. If you look at Bruno Fernandes in the last, I think since Ronaldo came to the club, Bruno Fernandes has been very poor because he has been constantly had to drop deep to get the ball.
Yeah.
Now, Bruno Fernandes is not the best in the number 6 deep line playmaking position. He's not really good at it. So he used to get there, he used to get the ball, no options. He used to just put it up front and then he used to get frustrated. So what Bruno Fernandes needs is a player who can let him have the freedom to stay high up the pitch, to get in the right positions and let the midfield do their job in terms of getting the ball from the defensive phase into the attacking midfield phase. And Christian Eriksen is excellent at that. Frankie De Jong is even better at that. But my worry for United is having that muscular guy. Even though McTominay is quite muscular, his positioning sense is not that good. And I think that's where my guy Fred comes into it. So it will be a big season for Fred. If Frankie De Jong can come into it, I think he will be a great addition. He gives Bruno Fernandes what he wants. He gives, because when Fred was in the midfield alongside McTominay, both of them are really not good in terms of progressing the ball. So the pressure was like, Fred, you have to do it. And he's like, I can't do it. Bruno Fernandes, you have to drop deep. He's like, no, I can't do it. So now if Frankie De Jong comes, Bruno Fernandes gets what he wants, Fred get what he wants, and the wingers can now make the runs, and they will be fined by the balls that Frank De Jong makes. So overall, tactically, it's a good match, and he has a manager who knows him very well. But the only thing I worry about is constantly in the interviews, Frankie De Jong has constantly said how much he doesn't want to come to Man United. And that is the one thing, again, I always say, you don't want a player who doesn't want to be there. I don't want that. I don't want to play alongside a player who is giving me that vibe. Like, I don't want to be here, bro. I'm better than you. I'm like, then leave this. So that's the one thing. Although as a player, as a fit with the manager and everything, it could be a really good move.
I think I completely agree with your point. Even currently, if you look at all of the top teams, if you look at the likes of City with Rodri, Liverpool with Fabinho, Madrid with Casemiro, Bayern with Kimmich, Chelsea sort of with Kante. Every team have that one midfielder one lights out defensive midfielder who, they're really, really good at breaking up play and, protecting the back line. But because of how elite these few are, they are really good at other things also. But, even with uh, Tottenham for that matter, signing Yves Bissouma, I was really impressed with that move. I was really surprised United were not even linked, not even looking at him. Although he's not at the level of like a Rodri or a Fabinho, I feel his core attribute of being a lights out defensive midfielder who's just gonna stand there in front of the back line and sort of protect them. I think that would have been a good move. But then lastly, the last topic on our agenda is the Salah contract renewal. So guys, what do you think about this, Devashish? Looking at it from, the tactical perspective, how do you see them, fitting their whole front line together with the new signings?
Yeah, so I actually said it in my last video. There is a change coming. There's a change in shape. It won't be a 4-3-3 now. It will be a 4-2-3-1. It will be a front four with two sitting deep. It won't be a simple 4-3-3 as it was now because they don't really have a false nine anymore. So in terms of Salah, I always said keep Mane, let Salah go. I always prefer Mane over Salah. I think Mane is more complete. But of course, Salah's numbers are great. But I think breaking weight structures could damage the dressing room in some way. But if the dressing room is mature enough to understand that no, this guy is worth breaking the weight structure, then it could be a completely different situation. So he's earning reportedly 350 grand a week, which makes him earn 150 grand more than any other player in the whole dressing room. And we have got players like Van Dijk there. We have got like huge names in that dressing room. So I've never been the biggest fan of Mo Salah because I think he has a very good first half of the season, but he goes missing in the second half of the season. Every season, towards the second half of the season, he just goes down. And I don't like that. Mane is more consistent. I said, keep Mane, let Salah go. And tactically, it won't be an issue because he's been under Klopp for now how long and he's been doing well. So it won't be a tactical issue. It could be a dressing room issue. But I think Klopp is more than good enough to, and the players that are there are all have been signed by Klopp. So I know what kind of personality they all have. So I know they are all mature enough to understand that this guy is worth breaking the weight structure. So it's a good signing for Liverpool, even though I think Liverpool will massively regret letting Mane go and keeping Salah, because if they would have done it the other way around, they would have saved 100 grand a week and they would have kept a player who is more complete, who has a much better personality and who has a better impact on the dressing room as an individual.
Varun, what do you think about this move? Do you think it's great that he stayed?
Yeah, it's great that he stays. He can really handle the attack in Liverpool. He's really consistent, as Devashi said. Yeah, he's not yet consistent, but yeah, he scores goals. He scored good goals as previous season. He scored a very good goal against City. Yeah, Salah is a good player in Liverpool, so it's a very good decision to extend his contract.
Anmol?
Yeah, I would disagree with this. I mean, I have never been a big fan of Mo Salah, just due to the fact that I believe that Mo Salah signs because the team makes him shine. And again, so Mo Salah has not been that consistent of a performer. And just looking at the kind of wages he draws now is borderline absurd for me, right? Coming from a management perspective, I mean, it is not only gonna create a big rift in the dressing room, right? But it is also gonna reflect on the player's performance on the ground. What I believe Klopp must do now is to look for a replacement for Mo Salah as soon as he can. I believe the contract has been extended till 2023.
No. It's a 3-year extension.
2025.
Extension.
2025, yeah.
So he'll play post his retirement days.
Well, you can say that in a perspective. So again, just coming back to my point is that I don't believe Mo Salah deserves that kind of wage salary. Not because he has got bad numbers. Trust me, he has got amazing numbers. But all those numbers have come from the team making him shine. from the team making him do it. So again, keeping Mo Salah might be a big contention for Klopp in the coming days. It could be a big headache for him. But yeah, he can shine. Let's see how much he does.
I think, personally, I completely disagree with you guys. Like, I feel like it's incredible how, you guys, I just feel like you can't give him the credit he deserves. Like, you may say he's doing it because of the system, but that is the point of a system, right? You set up a tactic so that a player shines. Ronaldo at Real Madrid was great because he had Benzema and he had Marcelo and he had everyone creating for them. So that is a team's function to make a player shine. So I feel like it's completely well deserved. And I think, Liverpool did really well to, sort of reach a fair agreement, I believe. Because Salah, I believe, was looking for a 4-year contract while Liverpool wanted to give him only a 2-year contract. So I think 3 years is fair. And, looking at players right now, all the top players are now able to play till they are 35, 36. Some exceptional players can even go further than that. So I think he's only like 30 or 31 now. So I think I still feel like he has 3, 4 good years. And looking at it from a wage structure perspective, I think Liverpool, when they started this whole process, they were in a position where they were like a Europa League level team, and now they are they're competing to win every trophy. So when you reach that level, you have to pay your players, right? You can't expect players to perform out of their skin year in year out and not deserve the money. They sort of the market value at least. So, if Liverpool had to go out and sign a player who could match the number that Salah puts up, they would have to pay him at least 350 to 400 grand a week. That is the, market rate for a player like him. So I think it's really well deserved. And although I agree that, it's sort of going to create a position where the next time the likes of, say, uh, Trent, Allison, Van Dijk, when they extend their contracts, they're going to ask for higher wages, and Liverpool are going to have to accommodate for that. But I feel like they reached a position where they have to match the wages of the likes of City, of the likes of Real Madrid, if they are, if they want to retain the talent that reaches that level. So I think it's a great discussion, guys. It was really nice speaking to you. And that sort of brings us to the end of today's episode. Uh, Take care and join us for our next episode coming soon.